Hello. What a mess, I can hear you say. Well, I was having a tidy up after Christmas like you do, and the whole lot fell off the shelf. So here I am trying to put it all together. Lots of lovely colours. I love colours. You know, outside, all these beautiful colours in autumn, they're my favourite. That's a nice colour. Nice red. Put that in there. Oh, see, I never know if that's a green or a blue. Bit of lilac. Yeah, a bit like the Three Blokes. Oh, where's Fred? Where's Fred? Oh, we'll have that. We'll have a Fred, and we'll have a Bert. There you are, Fred and Bert. Oh, now we need. There we go. Joseph. I always imagine Joseph is tall. Don't know why. I'll look at Joseph over there. And oh, let's have Mary in orange. I love orange. Not everybody can wear orange. Now then, baby. Let's have a gold, shall we? There we go. So that's where we left him, wasn't it? In the stable that night. Oh, what a night that was. Well, Fred and Bert were the first to go. The trouble was, Bert gets a bit niggly when he's away from the sheep. And he had to count them all when he got back. But my word, you should have heard them in the marketplace the following morning. They were telling everybody about what had happened the night before. Oh, well, some people listened. Some people thought they'd been on the drink, but they hadn't. So that left the Three Blokes. They'd got a bit of a story, the Three Blokes. See, these men were very learned. They had studied the stars, but they'd also studied the scriptures and the prophecies of a king, a Messiah being born. And they put their heads together and the star and the time and the prophecy, you know, put it all together and thought this could be it. That's why they jumped onto their camels and went on the journey. Thing was, when they got to the gate, they went left. Well, they should have gone right, but no, they went left, and they got a little bit lost and ended up in the palace of King Herod. King Herod. Nasty man. We'll pop him there. So they go to King Herod, and he woke up a bit, straightened the crown because he had slipped a bit. He'd had a big lunch, so he'd had a nap. So King Herod listened to what they were saying about the king, the prophecy. He didn't like that, not at all. He was king. He didn't want another one. So he calls his henchman, Sid. Where's Sid? Where's Sid? Oh, got him. There we go. He says, Sid, he said. What did he call him, Sid? My man, he probably said. So he said, has there been a king born in the palace the last few days? Oh, Sid. No, he says. Not much got past Sid. He knew everything that was happening in the palace, did Sid. So King Herod had a thought. He didn't have many of them. So he says to the Three Blokes, he said, look, I'll tell you what, when you find this, had a job to say the word king, because he was king. When you find this baby, he said, this child, whatever, he said, come back and tell me, and then I can come and have a look at him and say welcome, and perhaps he'd like to come and share my palace. So the Three Blokes put their heads together and thought about it, and we'll do that. So off they trundle, right? Off they trundle, and then they land back in the stable, right? Well, of course, as soon as they saw the babe, they knew, didn't they? They just knew that their assumptions and all their learning, they knew this was the Messiah, absolutely. They could hardly draw themselves away, but you know, they had to, but put their heads together and thought, have I told you? They had awful headaches, dreadful headaches. Anyway, they put their heads together and decided they weren't going to go back to King Herod. They didn't trust him. Nasty man, nasty man. So off they go, and they went home. But they went home a different way. Didn't get lost that time, I suppose. So the little family, they sort of settled down and get a bit comfortable in the hay, and yeah, put a blanket over themselves and got comfortable. All of a sudden, angel appears, doesn't it? I wonder if it was Gabby to his friends, of course, and immediately goes, fear not. They all said that, didn't they? Fear not, fear not. Well, of course, they didn't fear not at all, because they were used to angels coming and going as they please. But the angel said to them, he said, you're in danger. Because, meanwhile, back at the palace, King Herod had had a thought. Well, he'd had a few thoughts. And he realised that the three blokes weren't coming back. So he said to Sid, well, the thing was, Sid had disappeared. See, Sid always thought he was a bit above everybody else working in the palace. But, you know, he missed the fields and he missed the sheep, so he'd gone back. So he wasn't around. So he had to call, old Harold had to call some of his men together, and he said, proclamation goes out across the world. No, it's little world anyway. They did that, didn't they? Proclamation, he says. Anyway, he said, I want all the babies 2 and under, baby boys, 2 and under, to be, oh, nasty man, to be killed. So off they go, and they go across the land, killing all these little boys. So that's why, back at the stable, this little family's in danger. Because if Herod gets him, he's going to kill him. That's what the angel told them. So the angel says, look, what you must do, he said, is go across the border into Egypt, because you'll be safe in Egypt, right? Okay. Well, you see, Joseph, you know, he was just a carpenter. He didn't have a lot of money. And this trip to Bethlehem had pretty much taken his savings. Ah, but the Lord had provided, hadn't he? Because one of the blokes had bought some gold. So they used the gold to escape over into Egypt. So, what happened to King Herod? Well, he died. So, what happened to the family? Well, they stayed in Egypt for a while. But, you know, wasn't their home, was it really? So they come back over the border and settled in a little village. Oh, what's that called? Little village. No. Nazareth, that's it. Lovely little village, ever so friendly the people were. And Joseph sets up his little workshop, and they lived there for a while, because the baby grew into a young lad, as they do, and then he grew into a man, and then he started his ministry, and that's why they used to call him Jesus the Nazarene, because he came from Nazareth. But that's another story. Gosh, look at the time. It's coffee time. Do you want one? I'm going to put kettle on. Do you sugar?